South Korean President Yoon Yeol is set to deliver his closing statement tomorrow in a landmark constitutional court trial that could determine his political fate. Accused of unlawfully declaring martial law in December, Yoon faces the potential of being removed from office less than 3 years into his presidency. The court's decision hinges on whether the martial law declaration, which lasted just 6 hours, was justified. Yoon maintains that his actions were a necessary response to opposition abuses, while critics argue that such a move signals a dangerous disregard for constitutional limits. As the 8 justices deliberate, the country holds its breath. If Yoon is removed, a new presidential election must be held within 2 months. For more on this discussion, I am joined by anchor and correspondent Josh Barnes. Josh, why is this trial so important for the people of South Korea?
Yes, the ramifications, Thomas, of this trial are significant. We're looking at a situation where it has both ramifications inside of South Korea, but also political ramifications within the region and potentially geopolitical ramifications as well. Now, at the moment, there is an acting president in South Korea who's been in place. That person was also a replacement of the person who took over from Yoon. But the situation for Yoon is very simple. If he's found to be guilty in this impeachment trial, he will be officially removed as the president of South Korea. We can't forget that this is all over his short-lived martial law bid imposed for just 6 hours. Now, he said during his trial that this wasn't going to be a full military-enabled martial law and that it was just to sort of ward off against the Democratic Opposition Party, who holds a majority. So he was looking to flex his muscles, and it backfired, and we know, of course, what's happened since. Specifically, there are 2 separate cases going on for Yoon, and both have ramifications for him personally, but the main one for the country is this impeachment trial. As mentioned already, 60 days after a judgment, if he is found to be guilty in this impeachment trial, it will mean that a new government, a new election needs to take place. Now, looking at Yoon specifically in a criminal trial, which is also ongoing, the ramifications for him there are much more severe. If found guilty in his criminal trial, he could be facing life imprisonment or potentially the death penalty. Now, just a quick one on this impeachment trial, when we can expect a result. Today, of course, is the final day. We're expecting a hearing imminently. You may be speaking as we speak right now. We will, of course, bring you those updates. But we're expecting around a 2-week wait. There have been 2 previous impeachment trials for presidents of South Korea. One took 11 days and one took 14 days. So we will be back here revisiting whatever happens. But if there is a vote and an impeachment guilt, then there will be an election within 2 months.
We are also joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao, fellow Hudson Institute located in Tokyo. Dr. Nagao, what can you tell me about the potential political ramifications if Yoon Yeol is found guilty?
Well, currently, President Yoon is under process to resign and impeachment and go to jail. But when we check what happened in the history of the South Korea's politics, in this, most of the president who lost power need to go jail. So that's why there's a high possibility that similar situation will repeat in the South Korea politics. The problem is because of such kind of the situation, South Korea cannot decide the bold decision, even if the world is changing very fast pace under President Trump. So President Trump, 1 month, we can remember that many decisions has made and try to end the Ukraine war within weeks, or try to end the war in the Middle East, and try to concentrate all of the resources against China. So under such kind of situation, South Korea's role exists. South Korea is supporting Ukraine, or North Korea send the troops in Ukraine. So under such kind of situation, the decision is important, but South Korea cannot decide anything the next some months at least, and more longer indeed. So that's why this is a power vacuum situation. That is a serious concern, I believe. Thank you.
Dr. Nagao, if Yoon Yeol is found guilty and this election does have to happen, How are the people of South Korea, including opposition blocs, reacting to this? How do you think this election might go if it does happen?
A traditional pattern will repeat, I believe. In this case, opposition party opposition party's candidate will sworn in as a president if they win the election, president election. So, but under current situation, the opinion in the South Korean people is moving. So I cannot identify which side will win finally. But losing power, the governmental party, it means opposition party's advantage. But opposition party also lost confidence in the South Korea's people. So that's why maybe uncharted world currently. But generally, opposition party has advantage, I think.
Joshua, I wanted to come back to you. How is the public sentiment towards this impeachment trial and Yoon Yeol as a whole, as a political leader?
Yes, I mean, there is, of course, division. There are staunch supporters of Yoon outside the court today. There have been many protesters protesting against the Chinese Communist Party, protesting against Yoon's impeachment trial itself and the criminal proceedings. But also, when Yoon was arrested, of course, that his guards, but also several hundreds, if not thousands of people were stood around his house, stopping him from being arrested for this criminal trial. Now, with a country so divided, there is, of course, support for him. So it will be interesting to see if an election does take place where the wider sort of public opinion will be. But there is division and people are letting their frustrations known. There is support for Yoon and that continues.
Dr. Nagao, I want to know what impact this impeachment trial and a possible further election could have on some of South Korea's closest international allies, like the United States, like Japan. What can you tell me?
It relies on the favor of President Trump because before the President Yoon took find Moon Jae-in as president. But that time, the first Trump's administration, he did not like President Moon Jae-in. So that's why relation between U.S. and South Korea was very deteriorated that time. So, and President Moon Jae-in's policy is relatively pro-North Korea or engage with China. That policy itself is not popular in the Trump administration that time. So that's why that President Trump did not like him. And the relation between U.S. and South Korea was very bad that time. So if the opposition party will win, same party of the Moon Jae-in will take charge. So there's a possibility that the U.S. and South Korea relation will be deteriorated between the two leaders, President Trump and Moon Jae-in's successor in the opposition party.
Thank you very much for joining us on that discussion.